As bad faith Republicans continue to spread lies about the southern border to hurt President Biden politically, border crossings dropped a whopping 40% in January after the Biden administration announced new policies. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. So as you know, there are legitimate logistical and humanitarian crises going on at the southern border. Nobody denies that. Okay, we are seeing record contacts at the border in terms of crossing. It's causing logistical issues. We've seen record drug seizures at the southern border as well. The problem is that bad faith Republicans are seeking to weaponize this politically rather than dig in and try to help President Biden and the Democrats manage the situation. What they've done is lie and pretend that border policy and enforcement and funding under the Biden administration is radically different than what was under the Trump administration. It's simply not true. Certainly, the Biden administration has curbed some of the worst excesses of the Trump administration, like, for example, separating children from their parents, losing them in the system, throwing the kids in cages. That stuff, that doesn't happen under the Biden administration. But in terms of funding and enforcement and staffing and the policies like Title 42, for example, those are basically the same under the Biden administration. It's virtually identical. So, that said, Republicans have been very, very good at making this a political issue and trying to hurt President Biden reputationally. And it's worked, right? Like, there are people who think that, in terms of how it polls, the American public thinks that the Biden administration is not handling the southern border situation well. So, what we got now is some good news for the Biden administration, because after they announced the implementation of new policies, a carrot and stick style approach, and we'll get into it, back in January, we've seen a 40% reduction in border contacts at the southern border, which is really good news, and hopefully a trend which will continue. But migrants and asylum seekers attempted to cross the U.S.-Mexico border 156,000 times in January, which certainly seems like a lot, but back in December, it was 251,000, so a 40% reduction in January compared to December. As Axios reports, it's a good sign for the Biden administration in terms of the border. The government has struggled to get a handle on record numbers of border crossings over the past 2 years, which have created humanitarian, logistical, and political crises for President Biden. Okay, it comes after the administration rolled out new legal pathways through humanitarian parole for Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, Cubans, and Haitians, along with an expanded use of rapid expulsions to Mexico for these nationalities. So, again, this is good news politically for the president, especially if this trend continues and Democrats and their advocates are able to actually spread the news to counteract the conservative narrative from, Fox News, Ben Shapiro, and, the conservative media apparatus. We've got to shout this from the rooftops that President Biden's border policies are working, and it would work even better if Republicans and Congress were able to get behind board. Because, of course, while the implementation of border policy and a lot of the minutia comes down to the executive branch, broad border laws, those are the responsibility of Congress. It's Congress which passes all laws, all legislation, and the executive branch only gets some degree of latitude in terms of how they implement it. It's also good news, by the way, for the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, because he's enemy number one in terms of the Biden administration. Like, in terms of who Republicans are seeking to vilify and impeach the most, it might be Mayorkas even more than Biden. I think Mayorkas has been subject to 34 calls for impeachment since he became President Biden's Homeland Security Secretary. So in terms of his job security, this is good news for him if he's able to maintain this trend, this downward trend of border crossings. So now you might ask, okay, well, what were some of the policies that President Biden announced in January that he would do different? So again, Axios did a bit of a overview in terms of the expanded parole process. So let's dive into it. So today, the Biden administration is announcing it will extend the successful Venezuela parole process and expand it to nationals of Nicaragua, Haiti, and Cuba. So instead of just one country, Venezuela, it apply to 4 countries or citizens of 4 countries. Up to 30,000 individuals per month from these 4 countries who have an eligible sponsor, pass vetting, and background checks can come to the United States for a 2-year period and receive work authorization. Okay, they're like, look, if you check these things off, we're going to accept more of you, okay? So get us the requisites we need, be able to pass a background check, get a sponsor, and you can be here for 2 years with a work authorization. However, individuals who cross the Panama, Mexico, or U.S. border after that date illegally, they will be ineligible for the parole process and will be subject to expulsion to Mexico. Okay, and this is the big part. Thanks to negotiation between the Mexican government and the Biden administration, Mexico has agreed to accept returns from, again, illegal migrants from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Haiti. So these 4 countries, Mexico has agreed to accept 30,000 of these migrants per month if they cross illegally, right? So basically, Mexico has agreed to step up its share of the burden, right, under the Biden administration, which is good. That's a good sign of international diplomacy, the likes of which you really didn't get from the Trump administration. It's also tripled refugee resettlement from the Western Hemisphere. The Biden administration intends to welcome up to 20,000 refugees from Latin America during 2023 and 2024. This delivers on the president's commitment to scale up refugee admissions from the Western Hemisphere. So look, they're using the carrot approach. Like, look, we're going to make it easier. We're going to make it expedited. We're going to accept more of you if you do it lawfully. And this is a big one, too. They launched an app, which kind of sounds silly, but of course everything's done digitally these days. So when Title 42 eventually lifts, non-citizens located in northern and central Mexico seeking to enter the United States lawfully through a U.S. port of entry will have access to the Customs and Border Patrol One app, the CBP One app, for scheduling appointments, to present themselves for inspection, and to initiate a protection claim instead of coming directly to a port of entry to wait. So now you can do it from your damn phone instead of having to come to the United States, which creates a backlog and a logistical issue. This new feature will significantly reduce wait times and crowds at U.S. ports of entry and allow for safe, orderly, and humane processing. And of course, in addition, we're seeing another diplomatic success because the Biden administration has negotiated other countries to expand their migration process or their immigration process to accept citizens as well. So Colombia, Ecuador, Costa Rica, and Belize are each implementing new regularization or temporary protection policies to provide legal status to hundreds of thousands of migrants. Canada, Mexico, and Spain have expanded their refugee resettlement and temporary work opportunities. Mexico and Guatemala have also significantly grown their asylum system. Okay, so basically, if you're looking to get out of your country because you don't feel safe there, you're under threat, and you can't get into the United States, these other countries have expanded their process by which they will accept you. So if you're fleeing Mexico because of again, you're seeking asylum, you're looking to get out, it's dangerous for you, well then Belize, if you can't get into the United States, Belize has expanded its process as well. So you get out of the country that you're looking to flee from, that you're looking to escape for your safety, even if you can't get into the U.S. So it's no longer a situation of, well, I have to make it into the U.S. or I've got to stay in this unsafe situation. So all of these things are really, really good. This is a carrot and stick approach. Yes, the Biden administration is increasing the consequences if you do violate the law, but it's also expanding opportunities and trying to expedite opportunities for you to get here lawfully as well. That's really, really good. And hopefully we will see this trend continue under the Biden administration, this reduction in border crossings. And Democrats and liberals, progressives, lefties, you and I, not just people who work professionally for the Biden administration or the Democratic Party, but you and I need to be pointing this stuff out to conservatives and help refuting the claim that Biden doesn't care about the southern border and Biden's doing things differently. So, food for thought. Hey, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.